Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Bryndís. In today's video I'm going to be doing the this or that tag, the People April edition. I'm aware it's not April, but it's May. It's only a week into May, so I figured, you know what? I read biographies all year round, so I'm just hoping that it doesn't matter really if it's a little bit late or not. But anyway, the this or that tag, let's get to it. Question number 1, big, fat and detailed biographies or short and succinct biographies? I 100% prefer the big, fat, detailed biographies. If I'm interested in someone enough that I want to actually read their biography, I wanna know everything, like from birth to death, like everything. And I have a few examples that I want to show you. So I've listened to several really like quite large biographies on as an audiobook. And one of my favorites, a couple of my favorites would be Charles V. It kind of was quite detailed. I know I can't remember. When I'm thinking about it, I can't 100% remember it if it was his entire life, but I think so. And then Francis I and Charlemagne. I really enjoyed Charlemagne because I felt like the author really made an effort to give us his entire life history, given that he was alive like 1,200 years ago or something like that. So obviously the sources are not as many sources as there might be for someone who was alive 200 years ago, but I love these big fat huge biographies, and I can just show you my stack that I have here. If I can lift it. So these are biographies that I own myself. I've read this one, which is the smallest of them, but it's still like 380 pages or something. And then I have these three that I haven't read yet. I've had them for way too many years to not have read them, but I do want to get to them at some point. Biographies, I often prefer them as audiobooks. Question number 2, celebrity memoirs or the average Joe memoirs? I don't actually like celebrity memoirs. I don't know, or it's not that I don't like them, they just don't call out to me. I'm sure if I would read a good memoir and it had like a really good story, of like the person's life or something, some events, I would probably enjoy it very much. And there haven't really been any that have like really called out to me. So I don't think I've ever read a celebrity memoir. The average Joe, on the other hand, I mean, I like if it's an average Joe, I can't say that word. If it is an average Joe that has something extraordinary has happened to, I would definitely be interested. But just like a memoir of an average life, like that sounds silly to me, because that's kind of all our lives, right? It's nothing special. So even though I like the mundane and the everyday, I like those type of vlogs, for example, on YouTube. I like to watch kind of the everyday things that are happening to people, but I wouldn't want to read about it. I don't think so. So if it would just be like the normal person having something extraordinary happening to them, and then you could read about that experience, I think that might be interesting for sure. Question number 3, complete correspondence or selected letters? Now I'm taking this in the context of biographies. So I think I would prefer selected letters. I mean, for the most part, at least. Where you have the narration of the biographer who is telling this person's life story, or like certain parts of their life or whatever it is, and they have like the letters that they are like intertwining into their narrative of that person's life. So the letters come as a kind of complementary bonus to the narration of the biographer. I feel like that's definitely the thing that I enjoy quite a lot. And an example of a biography of like that I've read would be The Life of Charlotte Bronte by Elizabeth Gaskell. I liked how Gaskell used Charlotte's letters, throughout the book to kind of give examples of what she was going through. Now, I think that it's very important that if you're writing a biography of someone and they have letters that are written in a different language than the overall biography is, you need to translate them. I was very frustrated reading this biography, and so many of the letters that Charlotte Bronte wrote were in French, and there was no translation in my edition. So that's, so if you're going to be writing a biography in English, make sure that everything is in English. But apart from that, I really thought that was a very good example of how you can use letters to kind of give ideas. Yeah, and I think it's really fun to see how you can use letters from people to create, as I said, this really like compelling narrative of people's lives. Question 4 is memoirs written when the events are fresh, or memoirs written with hindsight? Again, I don't really read memoirs that often. I read one memoir last month, but I think that's the first memoir that I read, apart from one that I'm going to mention later. I don't really read memoirs. I prefer biographies. But I'm thinking that if I would be reading a memoir, I would probably prefer it with hindsight, so that people would have had a little time to kind of digest what happened and give you a more like holistic picture of what happened, and then like maybe the aftermath and how it was resolved, or how you kind of processed it as a person who had experienced something, whether it's good or bad, really. Yeah, I think I would prefer the hindsight. Question number 5, gossipy biographies or scholarly biographies? Definitely not gossipy. I don't like gossip. I mean, I can't even watch like reality TV, because I just get this secondhand, what is it called? Secondhand embarrassment. I just like, why are you? Why? So I'm not one for gossip, really. This gives me, ugh. Anyway, but yeah, I definitely want the scholarly. You may have seen that in my first mention of the biographies that I have, and my like chunky here. These are definitely scholarly biographies. But and by scholarly, I don't mean dry and boring, although I would probably still read them if I really want to know about the person. But I really like when a biographer has really done their research, and they just know stuff as much as is possible. So they just know what they're talking about, and they can really give us a kind of really complete picture of what happened and how this person's life was. I want to see the scholarly discourse around a person, but I think that's probably because I read mostly historical biographies. I think that if my interest was more contemporary figure or people, maybe I wouldn't be as interested in the scholarly. I don't know, but I want to know that a biographer knows what they're talking about. So I want the scholarly thing. And like examples of biographers of historical figures that I really enjoy is, for example, Alison Weir. I'm always writing something here. I read her biography of, for example, of Henry VIII, Elizabeth of York, and I think I've read a few others by her. I really like her writing style, and I like how knowledgeable she is. Another historian that I like is Ian Mortimer, who wrote, for example, Edward III. And I really enjoyed how he did it. And like I said again, all of these biographers definitely did their research, because otherwise these books would not be 1,000 pages or something. So give me the scholarly, give me the in-depth, give me the source, like well-researched biography every day, every time. Question 6, diaries of ordinary life or diaries of extraordinary events. Here it's kind of both. Because normally I wouldn't necessarily want to read about someone's ordinary life. You know, we all have ordinary lives, so what's the point? But if that someone was alive in the 12th century or the 18th century or even the early 20th century, yeah, I think their ordinary life would be very interesting to me. So it's definitely a mixture. I suppose if it's a more contemporary biography or memoir, I would definitely want them to be talking about something extraordinary. So something they did or something that happened to them or some like big event, and maybe they were taking part in it in some way. So again, it depends on the time, like the time of the events happening. Question number 7, arty memoirs or sporting memoirs? I think definitely sporting, although it definitely depends on the sport. Like I said, I don't read a lot of memoirs. I mean, biographies, I definitely enjoy biographies of historical artists, like Leonardo da Vinci. I've read his biography. What's the other guy there who did that? Michelangelo, Van Gogh, or whatever. Like those people, I love to read about their biographies. But for memoirs, I mean, there's really no one. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to read someone's arty memoir. Sporting memoir, again, it has to be in the sport that I enjoy. So I wouldn't want to read like some footballer or wrestler or something. But let me see, I have it here somewhere. Runner. I love runners. Marathon and ultra runners, they're my thing. So I've read a few kind of running memoirs. I read The Ultra Marathon Man, which is just like, I think there's a documentary or at least YouTube picture, I think it's a documentary probably of this guy who's just like running a marathon a day for a year. I don't know. It was a bit crazy. 10 marathons I kind of enjoyed. It's a guy who was running marathons and like it was a little bit too much about his life and not enough about the marathons, but for the running. But it was still okay. And I have this book here, which is called To Conquer Yourself, about this guy from my part of Iceland who like ran the Western States 100-mile endurance run in Northern California, I think. Yeah, California. And so he's just kind of the average oh my God, I can't speak. Average Joe who happened to start running and enjoyed running and became quite good at it. So I like that. And actually one sporting memoir that I would like to read, but I haven't, would be Caster Semenya. I would love to read her memoir. Yeah, if it's a memoir about running in some way, or CrossFit, or something like that, then, I'm in for it, for sure. I'm really sorry about the lighting. It's difficult finding the right spot to film in this apartment. But I'm doing my best. Anyway, question number 8, gritty autobiographical writing or inspirational autobiographical writing. I don't like autobiographies. Like I said, I can enjoy a good memoir, but I don't. If you're gonna, I don't think that. I don't know if this is controversial, but I just don't think that we should be doing biographies of people who are still alive, because then it's not a biography. For me, biography is from birth to death. So how can you do an autobiography? I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, I don't like them, so I don't read them. Question number 9, biographies of historical figures or biographies of contemporary figures. I'm sure if you've been paying attention to this video, you would have seen that I like historical figures. There are very few contemporary figures that I would like to read about. Majority of them are probably already dead. So I would love to read, for example, the biography of Nelson Mandela. He would be on the, is he a contemporary figure or is he a historical figure? Obviously he is a historical figure, obviously, but you know what I mean. So, I don't know. I definitely prefer the historical figures, as you can see, and as you have seen already. And a couple of others that I really liked. I can mention. I've read so many, but for example, I really enjoyed this one, Catherine de Medici, by Leonie Frita, who also wrote the book about Charlemagne that I mentioned before. Richard III by Michael Hicks, and I think I'm thinking that I can probably mention some more, but I think that's probably enough. But all of these books that I mentioned I really enjoyed, and I would recommend if you're interested in reading about historical figures. And then there is question 10, and of course my neighbor has started building something. Anyway, question 10, memoirs of happy days or memoirs of tragic days? Again, both actually, because if I'm reading, for example, about someone who has just won the gold at the Olympics or something, that's a very happy day. I would love to read that. But I also like, for example, this one. This is her memoirs, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's memoirs of when her father passed away. And it's strange to say that I enjoyed it, but I did. It's a good book. It was a good book for me to read when I read it. So, because sometimes I actually do enjoy, reading about people who have been through really horrible experiences and kind of how they coped with them, and because you can always learn from that, I think. So I don't necessarily read that a lot, but I think that it's really interesting to see kind of, you can really study a person's character, I think, also And also you can like maybe put yourself in their shoes thinking, how would I react? And things like that. So I think that it can be very, a very interesting and, fun to read something like that. So there's actually a bonus question, number 11, which is the complete diary of Samuel Pepys, which is over 4,000 pages or 116 hours and 16 minutes of audiobook, or selections from the diary of Samuel Pepys, which can be as short as 120 pages or 3 hours and 55 minutes of audiobook. So which one would I choose? First of all, I had to Google this Samuel Pepys. And why do you say Pepys? It makes no sense to me. Pepys! Pepys? I don't know. Never mind. So I had to Google this guy, and because I had never heard of him before, and whoa! I personally think I would actually like to read the 4,000 pages of his diary. I would prefer it if it was maybe, what's the word? Edited and like put into maybe with some like narration from a historian. So you would kind of put it into context with like what was happening. But I think it's really interesting actually. Like the daily life, because apparently this diary is a mixture of like just his daily life. I think there is, as I said, I Googled it, and there was like this page for children for how you can teach your child about him. And apparently there's like him talking about him, like what he eats, and his wife burning her hand when she was cooking, and whatever. But then there's also him talking about the plague or something, and like the big fire in London, or like huge events. This is somewhere in the 17th century, and I think both of those are super interesting to me. So I would actually love to read this entire thing. I know I'm a nerd, but yeah, history is just so fascinating to me. So there's that. The This and That Tag People April edition in May. But so the 12th prompt or question is to tag some other people. But I'm thinking, because I'm so late and I did look up a few people that I kind of thought might be interested in doing the tag, and they've already done it. So I'm just gonna basically be the lazy person and say, if you like this tag and you like to read biographies and memoirs and stuff like that, go ahead and consider yourself tagged for sure, because this was actually really fun. And I realized that also that I forgot to say I think I would put it in the screen. But thank you, Ellen, for tagging me. This was a lot of fun. And I guess that's that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.